Hello, everybody. Robert Allen here. Let's go and find a great deal, shall we? Now, when I got started, how did we do our research to find great deals? It was just kind of like onesies and twosies. I'd talk to a real estate agent. They'd look into the multiple listing service. I'd drive through the streets. I'd look for sale signs. It was just old school, shall we say. But over the last couple of years, people have aggregated the information on every property in the United States. So literally, we can go sitting right from this computer and see every property that's available for sale right now in any city. And we can do some filters on it. And we can just say, well, let's look for a vacant property. Let's look for a property that has no mortgages on it. Let's look for a property that's owned by an out-of-state owner. So essentially, you say to yourself, what are the criteria that I would like to look for if I had some software that would filter out every one of the deals I would like to find? And then, of course, then I've got to go track down that owner. But let's go online right now. I'm going to show you. This is the United States, as you can see it. And so let's just go to Kansas City. And Kansas City, Missouri, it's kind of like fairly close to the middle of the country, right? So we've zoomed in. Let's go out just a little bit. It looks like there are dozens of properties available in Kansas City. As a matter of fact, there's 1,696 properties that are listed right now in Kansas City. Now, we want listed properties. We also want to have off-market properties. So a software like this would help us find those kinds of deals. I'll get to that in just a second. This software I'm using right now is called PropStream. And you can go to PropStream, PropStream, and you can get a free 7-day let's check it out service. And you don't have to pay a penny for what I'm showing you right here. If you like it, it's to be like $97 a month or something like that. Around 100. And there are multiple services like this. PropStream is probably one of the most famous ones, but there is a service called Privy, and you go to getprivynow.com, and that's only usually the properties that are really listed in the 40 major countries or cities in the United States. There's just whole bunches of them. And PropStream is probably the most famous. But what you're really trying to see is sitting right here where you are, can you go look in another city and see what's there? And should you be investing in another city? Well, frankly, maybe you could find a property in another city and wholesale it to somebody else sitting right in your bedroom in whatever city you happen to be in. So let me show you how to do that. So, for example, right here, there are 123 properties that are pre-foreclosure. What does that mean? Well, let's click on that link, and we see that there are 3 pages full of, I think, 123, so the 3 pages of. Now, here are properties that are defaulted on their mortgages. They didn't make their mortgage payment. Now, of course, this is public information, so everybody can look at this. The real thing that you should know is that most people, they can buy a list like this. You can pay somebody to do all the research I'm just showing you right here. I'm just trying to show you that with one click, there are 123 properties. Now, how do you dig deeper below the lazy people? Because most people are lazy. They'll look at the list. They might send a letter to these people, and you can literally, from this software, send a letter to a list of these people. It's just, it creates a CRM for you to find and send letters to. But, that's really not enough. If you really want the deals of the deals, you're going to have to dig deeper than an ordinary lazy realtor or a lazy investor would go. You have to kind of what they call skip trace their telephone number. And that costs a little bit of money. It costs a few cents, sometimes 25 cents, sometimes 50 cents. It kind of depends on which service you use. But for a few cents, frankly, you get the address of the owner of that property. And if that property is, defaulting on its payments, you can literally get their telephone number. You can text them. I wouldn't call them, but text them and say, I see your property might be a little behind in its taxes. Are you interested in considering an offer? I'd like to make you an offer today. And of course, you text me. Well, we have 123 people here. If you texted 123 people, what's the probability that one or two of them is going to text you back? And they might say, it just happened. The default notice was just filed, and I'm scared out of my mind, and maybe I'd be interested. And of course, this helps you find a highly motivated seller. That doesn't mean that this is a good deal. You have to go deeper than that. You have to figure out what's it worth. And so using this same software, you can find properties that have sold around this one property there, and you can do a comparative market analysis and see what other properties within a few blocks of this one have sold for. And literally, it'll show you the picture of the before picture, when it was bought, maybe last year, a year ago, the after fix-up picture, the for sale picture of the brand new property, what it was sold for. I mean, it's just a vast amount of information on this one site. So let's put some filters in, shall we? Let's go to owner-occupied. What do you think? Do we want to find owner-occupied sellers, or do we want to find non-owner-occupied properties? Well, if it's owner-occupied, maybe they need to sell it in order to get enough money to go somewhere else. If it's non-owner-occupied, that means it's really not their primary residence. And therefore, they are an investor too. Therefore, they're in a totally different mindset than a person who owns the property and is not thinking of their property as an investment. So I prefer to go to the non-owner, let's see, we're going to owner-occupied to say, no, we don't want that to be owner-occupied. So let's see, what does that do to our list? Well, we still have a whole list of people. Let's see. Oh, we want to search for that. Here we're searching for that. We find a smaller number. Now let's keep going with the filters. Let's go to, do we want it vacant or do we want it occupied? Well, if they're non-owner occupied, that means they're renting it out to somebody. Do you want it rented or do you want it vacant? Well, you're probably going to find deals either way, but as a main filter, let's just go with make it vacant. Okay, and remember, this is PropStream, and therefore, with just a few clicks, I get the list. Doesn't have too many, but we've got 4 right here that are non-owner occupied and are vacant. Maybe rather than sending 123 pre-foreclosures, these, by the way, are not pre-foreclosure. They're just vacant and non-owner occupied. So they may not have some financial problems to them. But at least we know that these are properties that are owned by people. We'd like to have it if they are even out of state. So the filter takes us even deeper. The property characteristics. What do you want? What kind of property are you looking for? Well, let's see. Property classifications. We probably want residential. If you're a beginner, you want residential because it's easier to play that game. Getting into commercial, you need to be a little more experienced. So we're just going to focus on residential. And what kind of properties do we want? Well, we can make single-family homes, condos, multifamily, 5 more units. Well, we'll just go to single-family because that's, generally speaking, that's probably the best option. And anyways, you can go deeper and deeper on how to filter out almost all the properties until you get to just a handful. There's just 3 right there. And let's see. This one's $197,000. This one's $76,000. If you're from California and you see a property that's available for $76,000, you're probably going to yourself, what? $76,000? How can that be? Well, it's in pre-foreclosure. Its value is $76,000. It tells you all the information that we're looking for, taxes. This is a picture of the property. We can zoom in on it. We can zoom out and see what the neighborhood is like. Okay. What's nice to know is that once you've kind of selected a property, then around it are other properties that are comps. that has something sold for $76,000, $100,000. Is a similar property sold recently around here, and I can literally see the pictures of all of those comps. I'm not going to take you that here today. Today is just a kind of a basic beginners having a look at what it's like to look at any city like this. That was Kansas City. Where do you want to go? You know, let's try another city. Let's go to Chicago, see what that's like. Now, of course, wherever you're at, you'll use the same software and it'll go to your city, your state, bring up exactly the same kind of numbers that we're just looking right here. Let's go to Chicago, Illinois. And how many properties are available for sale right now in Chicago, Illinois? 8,569 properties. Can you believe that? There are, of these 8,000 properties, there are pages and pages and pages. You know, look at that. There's at least 90 properties right there. I've got 5,700 in pre-foreclosure. I got 216 in auctions that are going on right now. The numbers are kind of staggering when you think about it. Let's do some filters. Okay, some of those filters are already in place. No, non-owner occupied, vacant. We got single family homes, residential. We can go to year built. We can go to the MLS status. It just goes on and on and on. Let's zoom in on some of these properties here. See, each of these numbers right here is listed on the side. See, on the right-hand side, every single number is listed. So if I'm really interested in what 31 looks like, there's a picture of it there, or I can go over here on this side and click down to get to number 31. I click on it right there. It's the same thing. It's Walsh, whatever that's called. So it says its value is 109. But its price is 192. I'm not even sure. An estimated value is 109, but last year it sold for 192. Well, what this gives you is a lot of things like, why is that? Why is it pre-foreclosure? Why is it vacant? Why is the seller out of state? Does the seller own more properties? This is just a vast amount of information for every city in the United States, every single one. You get to start where you're at, and then you go outwards. So should you be buying in Chicago? I live in Utah. Should I be buying something in Chicago? Well, first of all, I go there and I have a look and I compare prices to where I'm at, to where they're at, and I find out that a lot of properties are much cheaper in Chicago. Maybe I don't want to buy them. Maybe in the wrong neighborhoods. So there's a lot of different strategies. For example, I can go into the neighborhoods and I can find a property, let's say in Chicago, I go through the MLS and I find the cheapest property that's available in Chicago. What is the cheapest property? And I look that up on the MLS. I can look it up right here and find the cheapest property. And then I know that property is available for sale. And then around that property are properties that are off market. See, the one that's on market is the cheapest. That's how we know. We went to the MLS where it's publicly listed for everybody to see. And we find out that it's available. Thank you very much. We don't go to that one. We don't try to buy that one. We're going to go to the 2 or 3 streets around that one. And we're going to look for properties that are in the cheapest price range as possible. And you say, well, why would I want a cheap property? Robert, didn't you tell me you shouldn't be buying properties that are in rough neighborhoods? Well, a friend of mine, Todd Dotson, teaches a strategy that I absolutely love. He goes and finds these cheaper properties and he doesn't write offers on them. He puts his sign on it. He doesn't even own it. And he basically says, I buy properties. And he gives his telephone number. And now with properties that are surrounding the one that's for sale, there are maybe another dozen properties that are really not looking very good in the wrong kind of neighborhoods, frankly. But as people are driving by, they see his sign, they call his number on the phone, and he says, well, what would you be willing to offer? And he gets an offer from them, and of course he doesn't own it. So he skip traces using this software, this PropStream software. He skip traces the owner's tax records, finds out who owns it and their telephone number. And he texts them and says, are you willing to sell your property? And the owner says, maybe, maybe not. But many times it's, yeah, I've abandoned it. I really don't want it. It's not been lived in. It's a wreck. Well, what would you be willing to accept for it? And they give him an offer, a number. Now he has people calling on his phone number saying, yeah, I'd be willing to offer you this or that. It's vacant. You could go look at it. Nobody's living in it. And this is like a strategy, and I give credit to Todd for that and he just taught this to my inner circle. So the reason I'm sharing it with you is it's just very fresh on my mind. Any property in the United States, even if it's the worst property you've ever seen, is available for sale. Using a fancy strategy that I just taught you, you can find that property right here on PropStream, and you can track down their phone number and text them. Now, how many times you need to do that before you finally get both parties coming together, the seller willing to sell and the buyer who is calling on your sign on the property willing to buy? Well, not very often. Maybe once a month you can find a great deal like that. Here's what's sexy about that. You don't even own it, and you never own it. You never take title to it. They never check your credit. You never have to put up a down payment to buy it. You can have nothing, no job, nothing. And with the free 7-day trial on PropStream, with not investing a cent of your own money, you can find a deal and get started. Find a bunch of properties just like this. This is the basic overview of going deep on strategies like this. The next time we do this, I'm going to take you even deeper, and we're going to find a property that's available right now at the time we shoot it that is available to buy. Maybe you'll want to buy it, and I'll show you exactly how to find it. This is PropStream. Other services that I know the guys who own realflow.com, a great real, REALE, flow.com. Go Privy Now is another one that's focused mainly on listed properties with the multiple listing service. There's another one called Deal Driven. All these people will charge you roughly $50 to $100 a month. Now, if you're into this full time, that's nothing. For you to have this kind of data at your fingertips where you can invest anywhere in the United States and buy and wholesale a property without ever owning it. Oh my gosh. If I had this kind of information at my fingertips back when I was really in my wealth creation days at the very beginning of my first million, I would have been salivating to get access to this kind of information. You can do it yourself right now from any computer. That's my challenge to you. I know you can do this. Go check it out. It's a free 7 days, so you don't have to spend a dime. And check it out for yourself, just like I showed you. Which city do you live in? Go check it out. Thanks for watching. I hope that was valuable to you. It sure blew my mind when they showed it to me. So there it is. Now, I want you to click on the link down below so you can subscribe. And remember, we're going to go deeper and deeper on some of this powerful information so you can make some serious money this year.